Aloha, everyone. I'm Rev Rita, and this is
Red Patrick.
we're recording live here from Center for Spiritual Living, Kaua'i, a beautiful Science of Mind center on the island of Kaua'i. And we are the spiritual directors of the center, and we have numerous amazing programs. And we're going to talk to you about what's happening right now, something very exciting. Reverend Patrick here has just started. Well, he's not started. He's going to be coming out at the beginning of January, a new book, and it's called A Tale of Two Fathers. I'm going to share the screen for a minute here so you can get an idea of what this is. You can see it. This is just the initial design of the book. A Tale of Two Fathers, one boy's triumphant journey to the other side of mental illness. And for those of you who don't know, Patrick grew up in a family where his father was a paranoid schizophrenic, right? And that was the diagnosis, at least. And can you just for a second just tell me why you're calling it The Tale of Two Fathers? Is it because of that?
Well, it's for a couple of reasons. One is that he did have, even though it was paranoid schizophrenia, there was some multiple personality disorder as well.
Okay.
In the mix, but the actual diagnosis was that. So there were very many times that I would not recognize my father because my father actually wasn't there. Whatever voices were talking in his head or telling him to do things, that's what I would see. So it was like, where's Dad? We even had that. If he was in the mental hospital various times, I would say, is Dad back? Or my mom would say, I think Dad's back. And I would go and then I would recognize him as my dad. So that's one. And then at 24, I had another wonderful surprise to find out that he was not my biological father, which that's a whole nother book. But the reason I tell it isn't because it's important in the story, but it's important because those who believe in heredity and believe that things are passed down do every once in a while, for those few people that do know, question that. They go, oh, did you know it's hereditary? So we don't have to think about that. We can enjoy the whole discussion knowing that he was not my biological. So, the tale of two fathers.
Right. Okay. So that's great. So what made you, like, what drove you to write the book? Like, we've been talking about
Oh,
it. You
yeah.
know, if you don't know, Patrick and I have been a married couple for almost 20 years now. And we talk, you know, he would talk about his dad and his upbringing and all of that, but I'd always go, Patrick,
Yeah.
a book. What
Yeah.
made you finally decide that this is the time to write it?
I think what it was is a couple of things. I mean, listening to you throughout the years, always saying, not that it should be a book, but that I turned out to be so different under some very, very horrendous conditions when I look back, and especially now writing the book, I look back at it and go, wow, I can hardly believe I went through that, or that little boy was able to get through that. So mine is to assist others, because I know when I was going through it in my family, there was a lot of shame involved in mental illness. A lot. People hide it. They do not want anyone to know about it. There's a shame factor that goes with it, and not in my day, especially for my mom and for the family, but even today, everyone thinks it's a hush hush, and it is. But I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to get vulnerable and expose this story and how I got through it, how I moved through mental illness, and how we have incredible intuitive powers that we can use during this stressful time of working and loving somebody who has mental illness.
So talking about those intuitive powers, you know, a lot of other people who might have gone through something like this might have turned out a whole different story, right?
Right.
Okay, and you are a very strong person. You are well educated. You are a positive person, a happy person. You have a very fulfilled life in your career and always have. So, what do you think about you is different?
You know, it's interesting. I've been questioning that a lot. And that's what the book, for me, it's always another healing process. I processed a lot, but it's very healing for me because I had a brother that was 7 years older. And he did not go the same route as me. He did not see it the same way. It completely turned him around. And a lot of mental disorders my brother suffered from experiencing that. So I started to see a pattern of spirituality and and the emotions that I was going through, the psychological factors, but there was an intuitive nature that somehow clicked with me. And I was able to feel things and then use coping mechanisms that I have no idea how a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old, and all the way up, would have the intelligence to find a coping mechanism to save him from danger and his family. So I thought there was something much bigger going on through the experience, something that I was tapping into that was kind of guiding me, protecting me. You can call it God if you want, you can call it whatever, but I do know that it's a superpower that we all possess.
Right.
I just happened to be this little boy that seemed to be able to see what to do in the next situation, especially in danger, because there was a lot of danger. When you're with a paranoid schizophrenic, I didn't find this out till much later in life when I was actually in some therapy.
I like that because that you said coping mechanisms, because I love Greg Braden, and I've been taking a class with him, and one of the things he talks about is a different definition of hope. And it's not doubting or wishing. It's actually a strategy. It's like it's having an intention and then coming up with the strategies to get you through a situation. And
Yes.
he gives a lot of examples, and I think that that's something, like you said, we all have inside us, that
Absolutely.
ability to be clear and have an intention, and then find the coping mechanisms. They just arise because, well, we know infinite intelligence.
Right.
Us, right? That's
And
we
one
teach
thing
that.
that I want to add with that, you just sparked that in me. It's like we all know like the 3 faces of Eve and multiple personalities, and they actually have separate personalities. And sometimes when a trauma happens, something, sexual abuse or anything, the trauma I went through, the body is equipped. It comes equipped with a coping mechanism that will, like in multiple personalities, they'll actually they'll unattach, they'll disattach. I'm trying to find the word. Away from the person in order to save them, or block the memory in order to save them, and it works together almost like a collective, the collective consciousness we talk about. But another coping that comes from the human and the physical and the psychological is I developed hypervigilance. And hypervigilance, even though it's a pain in the neck after you're out of danger, it takes all of your senses and intensifies them so that everything you can see, a wink in the eye, an eyebrow. I knew every little move my father made. I knew everything in order to protect myself and to protect my family from danger. But that's what happened, is all my senses that were like the 5 senses, I went into those extra senses.
Right.
And that's back to intuition.
Wow. There's so much.
And it came naturally.
There's so many things I would love to ask you, but I know that a lot of our questions are going to be answered when we read the book, and also on September 10th.
Yes.
At 6 p.m. live right here from CSL Kaua'i. You're going to read some excerpts from the book, and also talk about your experience. Can you tell us a little bit more of what we can expect that night?
It's been very hard to take, all those years and then condense them for an evening. The reason I want to do the evening is I want the audience to be able to have an opportunity to just get a taste of what went on, and especially what's going on these days with everyone with depression. A lot of mental illness is coming out even more because it's triggered by the pandemic and everything that's going on there. But that night I'm planning to just give a brief overview of what the book is going to entail, which is, well, whose perspective is the book from? I had a mother, a brother, a father, and myself. And for those of you who don't know, I have a very strong background in working with the inner child, and it's one of the gifts that I've been given. I think it actually was cultivated by my upbringing, why I'm so good at it now, because I understand it from the child's perspective. And so I'm going to tell it from that perspective and read, like you said, a few excerpts. I have about 3 or 4 stories that I would like to read, and then
How long will the evening be?
and it'll be an hour with me, people that know me, give or take. No, but I'm keeping it to an hour and then a half hour for question and answers. I think the question and answer is very important.
Yes.
Especially since you're not reading the whole book, you're just getting a taste of it.
Right.
To ask what, am I an expert? Yeah, actually you are. When you're born into mental illness, as I was, you have to become an expert. I didn't realize that till writing the book.
No, to survive.
You have to become an expert in it firsthand, first, right at the front lines.
So, if you had one thing to say to this audience today about mental illness, for someone that might be experiencing it in their family, what would you say?
Well, first off, I think that, to be fair, I believe we all have a disorder of some kind. I don't think we could live in the world that we live in today, or just to get through life, without having some, meltdowns, pitfalls, whatever, mentally. And I think everyone can agree that at the end of the day, many personalities come out in us during the day, and it's not mental illness, but it is a way of working in the world. So my thing I would say is, if there's mental illness in your family, if you suspect it, that first of all, let's just take away the shame, take away the blame, take away the why did this happen to me? Why is this going on? Because it's very painful for people who are observing, whether it be your son, your daughter, your father, mother, it doesn't matter, but especially when it's your kids. And to have to go through that, and when they're going through it. So one, get help, but before that, and we'll talk about it, getting help isn't always easy. We know it took, I was 34 years old before my father was ever diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic, and was put actually in a mental home for that. So for you, get the help, love yourself, nurture yourself. Self-love is the incredible healing tool for it all, because the more you love yourself and stop the blaming and stop the pointing and let go of the shame, you can really help those who are going through mental illness.
Thank you, Patrick. This is really great. I know we're going to really have a wonderful evening. So that is going to be on September 10th at 6 p.m. here at CSL Kaua'i, A Tale of Two Fathers, One Boy's Triumphant Journey to the Other Side of Mental Illness, Patrick's new book that's coming out after the first of the year. And you can tune into the live stream by going to our website, cslkauai.org, or you can actually come to the center, but you have to have a reservation. So you would go to our webpage under events, and you would make a reservation, because of COVID-19 and the social distancing, we can only fit a certain amount of people in here. So we look forward to it. And again, this is Center for Spiritual Living Kaua'i, Revs Rita and Patrick.
And we're at cslkauai.org.
cslkauai.org. And also, if you want to see us live on Sundays, we meet here at 9 a.m. and you can catch us again on our live stream, same link. So thank you for listening today.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing everyone.
And this is an important thing. So we're so grateful, Patrick, that you're doing this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the time is right. So aloha, everyone, and we will see you soon.
Oh, but we forgot to tell them something.
Oh, we did, didn't we?
Oh my gosh.
So great.
No, I got so much into this upcoming book and all that we're going to do next Thursday. We forgot to remind you of who you are.
You are magnificent. And so it is.
And so
all right.
it is.
Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.